It's like, who can I trust to tell me the truth?
Yeah,
because that doesn't feel right. I always had information behind me that I knew existed, but I could never access.
Yeah.
And I knew the world I was living in wasn't all there was, that there was magic and there was more. And I embraced that every opportunity I had, because I knew there was something going on, and it frustrated me.
Hello everyone, this is Bobbie Richardson. Today we are going to have a great chat with an amazing lady. Her name is Leonie Appelt, and she is a incredible person who's created a school that is all to do with psychic abilities and psychic gifts, and expanding our reality out into, beyond the five senses. So she's been doing this as a school for 2 years. She's been doing it with her children, her own grandchildren, for 6 years. And I can't wait to have this awesome discussion with her. So yeah, tune in, guys. This is going to be a good one.
It's even like me stepping into what I'm doing now for the last couple of years. It's been a big, huge thing for me. Because I'm quite shy.
Yes.
I'm reasonably introverted, even though I present differently a lot of the time.
Yeah.
That's a coping mechanism. So for me to even do, like, I don't comment on Facebook or anything like that, because I don't want to engage in conversation that's going to be too confronting, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't.
That's interesting.
Myself out there.
Because we're stepping in our power now more, and we're realizing when we do that, the fear slowly starts to subside, and then you get more strength to do more things. So you've just plunged right into this psychic school. And I did see an interview of yours, and you were saying that it was because of your children's like being really sensitive to reality.
Yeah, they were having a lot of experiences. But look, from a really young age with myself, I was we're not a religious family, but mum and dad had inherited, religious sort of, like, dad was Catholic and mum was Church of England, because that's, you had to be associated with something. Not that we went to church, we went to christenings and whatever, but mum thought it might be a nice idea to send me to Sunday school, because I was very creative from the get-go, as you know what that's like. And they sent me to Sunday school. I was either just at school or I was 4 or 5 years old. I wasn't very old at all. But I remember sitting in that class. I had a lovely teacher. She was a young woman. But I remember her standing up there quoting from the Bible and giving her interpretations around that. And I remember sitting there and go, why is she lying to me? That's not the truth.
Yeah.
And I felt that as a little kid, I felt, it's like, who can I trust to tell me the truth?
Yeah,
that doesn't feel right. I always had information behind me that I knew existed, but I could never access.
Yeah.
And I knew the world I was living in wasn't all there was, that there was magic and there was more. And I embraced that every opportunity I had, because I knew there was something going on, and it frustrated me growing up. I had experiences and sort of psychic not to use the wrong wording, I guess. I might tend to use the wrong wording, but psychic phenomenon and paranormal experiences and all that, and it fascinated me, because I knew that was an element that I was feeling that was more real to me. So it was never scary. And I had multiple experiences on all sorts of level in the ET thing, as you know.
Yes.
but my kids, so I plan to educate my kids about self-awareness around all of that. But it wasn't until I got my grandkids who were having so many experiences, and I had to contact Mary, because I went to Mary in 2011 and had a regression.
Mary Rodwell,
yeah, Mary Rodwell, yeah, my own experiences, and it opened up. That was my real awakening. Once I saw, shook my world, because I had spirituality and I had all the other stuff separated. But sort of going to Mary, it just combined, and then I realized it was all the same thing. So so much came together for me, and then that educated me enough to work out what was going on with my grandkids, sort of their sensitivities and everything like that. Yeah, so I wanted to with them, I wanted them to know that what they're experiencing was normal, basically.
That there is more to life than just the five senses, for starters. And sometimes and it's the hard thing is the proving of it. And I know that that's what society pulls over us to try to keep us in this loop of self-doubt. But when you exercise it, go out to the world, find synchronicities, realize that what you were thinking can come true, that you can put yourself in situations of trust in that space that's beyond. That's my cat. I'm stupid. Hey, when you realize that you can go into spaces beyond the five senses and actually see the results, but you have to do that yourself, right? Because you're the one that's, you can tell as many people as you like, but until they're actually physically done it themselves. And I think that's what's great about your schooling is like, even though it's still their own work that they're doing, that they're coming to themselves and fulfilling a piece of them, for filling up a piece of them, their own self-support that is lacking in the school system, to make themselves feel good about who they are, that their extrasensory is as needed for them to be able to move through life, and they will become the teachers in the end. Because
that's the idea. They'll pass it on to the next generation of children.
They'll be able to ground it as well. Like we've had to go through the hard yard and then learn how to ground it, and then they're like taking that grounding, like we're talking the actual physical tools that you're doing in the school. So you've got a school. Tell me about that. What's the school about? Like, what do you do in that school?
Well, exactly what you just said. My main aim, and I've pulled from a lot of people and their experiences and their teachings too, because I initially started with one, Nicola Farmer, who has a school in the UK, and then I went to Canada and I studied with two Russians over there. But they're called Invision, and that was Mark Komozarov and Michaela Estradi. So they do Invision over there in New York and in Russia. So they had their own take on the seeing without eyes mechanism.
So what's the seeing without eyes? You like blindfold and
blindfolded with a blindfold.
Yeah,
and that's just basically a tool to cut off all sensory interference. So it becomes a blank canvas.
Mm-hmm.
And then you take the children into an energetic process to open them up, and they open up very quickly. And I say to everyone, they can do it because they don't know they can't do it. And that's why I like working with kids, because they're so real. And they haven't been contaminated. Their brains haven't been contaminated to the point of cynicism and overly thinking logically about everything. A bit of logical step in.
Yeah.
But they're so open to experience and their brainwave levels are still a little bit slower, so they're still seeing fairies in the garden, and they're still having experiences that they're probably not even vocalizing.
Yeah.
Like, you know, if you put a blindfold on most younger children, they'll see without you doing anything initially, because it's something you don't usually do with children. You don't put a blindfold on them.
No.
You know, and you tell them you can see now. You'll be able to see even though this is here.
Yeah.
And they'll open up straight away.
Yes.
Kids just keep tapping up and down. What do I need this for when I can see it with these?
Yeah. and I'd say, I'm just guessing here, what it is that they'll be tapping into their soul's connection. Now, their soul is the observer of their reality. So if they're tapping into that soul intuitive connection, then as the observer of your reality, you'll be able to see all of that's around you outside. I came across a lady that was blind all her life, and she died on the table. And then when she died, she came out of her body. She was her soul, her essence of who she was. She could see herself for the first time.
Yeah.
She'd never actually seen herself while she was alive.
Yeah.
So that means that there's observer point of view that we can tap into of everything.
Yeah.
Gives us the
like,
remote view in all sorts.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And the children can, it's like like my grandson said, it like he pops out the top of his head, and then so they can navigate the astral and the physical at the same time. Yeah. And that's how they see. That
is the normal that's what a normal human is. Like, to me, that's a whole human. We've got a logical side, and we have our intuitive side that is connected to our soul. So like they did an experiment where they, you know, could use somebody who had two hemispheres that wasn't connected by the corpus callosum in the center. And they went, okay, we're going to ask the left brain, does it believe in God? No, it's an atheist. Right brain, absolutely. It's the one that has the connection, like our intuitive, imaginative side has our connection to that.
Yeah.
Now, all of our lives we've been told that we're only to lead by logic. So if we're only leading by logic, we haven't got any sort of connection to our soul to guide us. We ask for someone outside of us to guide us. That brings us to the kind of system that's been pulled over our eyes out of not feeling supported. So it's like all interlinked in the end. What you're doing is like expanding reality.
Oh yeah,
to a norm.
It is a holistic version of yourself, and it's to me it's really important, because I didn't want to be another adult just speaking at the children and telling them this is how it is. I wanted them to experience it firsthand. And that's why I've put exercises into place that they can see in real time the result of what they're doing.
Beautiful.
And that is telekinesis. And we're still working with the mind site, but the children I've had for quite a while, and I have other kids coming and going.
Yeah, how long has this been going for?
I've been doing it with my grandchildren for about 6 years, but the teaching from home, because I thought I'll even though I'm getting older, a little bit more tired, because it takes a lot of energy to it does take a lot of energy to do this, because you're combining your energy with theirs to keep things moving. Like, it becomes that sort of a process, and I thought, well, I should put myself out there more, even though I was a little bit intimidated by that idea, and maybe word of mouth, and that's how it's happened, really, word of mouth of what I'm doing with the children here. Yeah. And I like I've stated before, most of the kids I get are spectrum kids, because I myself am high functioning autistic, and so is our family. So we resonate to that vibration. We know how that
and
works.
they're the ones with the gifts. That's why they have, you know, that's why logically they want to put them in a box and contain it, you know, put a label on
suppress it all. Yeah.
But they're the new age kids that are coming into shifting reality, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You connect.
So yeah, I try and make sure that they do understand the process, and I let them have a lot of input, and we'll say, what shall we do today? Oh, we like doing this, and we'll just use the telekinesis. We'll do it under glass, so it's evident again, with the psi wheel, turning that, and and connecting with and I don't get into the heavy quantum physics side of it, and I only have a certain amount of knowledge on that in that area anyway. But I understand about entanglement and things like that. But I don't oversupply them with too much heavy information, because we need to keep it as simple as possible. And that's why I like working with kids. Adults have already been programmed by society and have issues with compartmentalizing their experiences. Yeah, and there's a lot of look, even those of us who are awakened have trouble. Like, I can see with the blindfold on, but I have issues around closing my eyes, because my left brain's still saying, well, if you've got your eyes closed. Yes. I can see, I have, and having said that, it's not always consistent. It's like I've been seeing a little boy for quite a while, and he's open all the time. Last time I saw him, he couldn't see for about half an hour, and then we got things going again, because life had happened in between, and he'd had whatever experiences he had at home. So it's like a muscle. We have to exercise the right brain, and keep it going, and it just assists them in so many ways, and teaching them about self-responsibility and manifesting their own reality, and how the mechanism works to do that. And let's play a game around that. Let's set a goal. Let's bring something in and see when it comes in, and just, they trust what you're saying, but until they experience it, then you can see it. Yeah. Like, ding. Yeah. Yeah, it's so cool. Yeah. It's so cool. Every time I open up a child and they start to see, I get goosebumps all over. I get so excited. It's just such a beautiful thing to do. So what's some of the actual things that they do, like the actual exercises that they do? You put the blindfold on, just so. Put a blindfold on. We do energetics around that. I make them very aware that they're not just their body. We have illustrations and things to give examples of that. And once we settle into that, usually they jump up out of the chair and want to run outside and look at everything. But we start with colours initially, like different tools to pull colours in, using scarves and coloured cards and things like that. Yeah. And then I start going around the body, because not every child will open up the same way. No. Some kids will see through their elbows. Some kids will see through their feet. Some kids will see behind their calves. Yes. And it's very quickly they adapt to that, and their brain is processing how this new information is coming in, because what it does is it starts setting up neuro pathways. Yeah. So the brain's going, hang on a minute, I'm seeing this way now. And that in itself is quite tiring for the kids. So I only sort of spend about an hour with them doing this, because it can wear them out. But they can be your physical body. If you keep repeating the same thing, like if they feel comfortable that it's through the elbow, so the physical body is like becoming a tool, so to speak, rather than actually have an eye there, but a tool for the soul to see through. Yeah, well,
mixing with their energetic field.
They are, yeah.
So, and
to feel it into a physical form, it makes it easier to comprehend. At least part of my body has been used for this, you know, because then the logic's like, okay, part of my body has been used for it. I don't know how this is happening, but because it's not until your logic actually agrees with your intuition, that's when the magic happens.
But I got to say, most of the kids, it's so natural for them. Most of the kids say, oh yeah, I can do this. It's like probably the second time around when they've had time to digest it, they start to go, how does this work?
Yeah,
but when they do it initially, it's such a natural process. And then they learn to become empathic to their surroundings. So then their frequency becomes more in tune. So when they're seeing, it's like with the sidewall, you become empathic to the foil or the paper that you're wanting to turn to connect to.
I've actually done it. I'll put that in there.
Yeah.
I was turning it with my mind.
Yeah. It's cool when it happens, isn't it? I was in love with Miguel.
I was like recording it at the time. I'm like, I'm just going to trust this. And I had to get in a zone of absolute. So there was no doubt whatsoever. And as soon as you get a little bit excited, it goes, because the excitement in itself says there's something unusual happening here. So I'm to get excited about it.
Left brain thinking. Yeah.
So I have to be
that's
very
where the kids
neutral about the whole thing. That's what I felt. I felt very neutral about it. Like, yes, absolutely, of course it is. It wasn't just
and I feel it. I feel that, and then it sets up a memory. There's some sort of memory that you can access in your internal library to get back into that again when next time that you do it. And the kids, again, they don't always get excited either. It's like I get excited when they start to turn the wheel, and there's like, oh, what are we going to do next?
But then they're just accepting it as part of the norm. So that's the perfect place to be, because that
of course,
bringing in those gifts. Okay, so this is just a piece of paper that I've made into a roof, and it's balanced on top of a nail that I put in the center of, I pushed through a rubber as a base. So the rubber is just a base, nails poking through it, and a piece of paper on top. And this is me just not, just breathing over top of it normally. So there's no movement, just to prove that there's no movement. And I started to breathe a little harder here. You can see that wobble because my breath is getting stronger. That's just to prove the inconsistency, because the breath cannot hold a flow for a very long time. Just to prove to you that my breathing isn't what's happening when I show you the telekinesis later on. So yeah, it falls off because it's inconsistent. The breathing's inconsistent to try to keep it flow. I couldn't make a very gentle flow even if I blew it. So right here, I'm clearing my mind as much as possible. I don't want to be thinking about anything, not thinking about that it's been recorded, not thinking about that and I'm just asking it to move with my mind and thanking it. And then just clearing my mind. So when it kind of stops there a bit, I realized that my mind was going, oh, I'm recording this. And I'm like, oh, I gotta just let it go. Just trust that it's going to move.
There's nothing needs to be in my mind at the moment. Just a stillness and an absolute faith that it is going to move. Yeah, you cannot get excited, because as soon as you get excited, it's like saying to the universe, oh my God, there's something different happening here. And the universe is like, what? There's something cool happening here. This is different. Instead of the universe reflecting back to you that it's a normal thing to have happen, that you are telekinetic. So as you can see, it just flows nicely. There's no discrepancy. There's no breath. Yeah, so I tried to make it fly a little bit here. I thought, this is getting easy. Let's try to make it fly. And then I'm like, oh, I probably shouldn't have said try to make it fly, because as soon as you try something, it doesn't work. But I had a crack at it anyway.
All these modalities, meditation, remote viewings, psi work, the seeing without your eyes,
What's psi work?
Oh, the psi wheel, the telekinesis.
Oh, okay, that's the psi.
We just call it psi work, the psi wheel. Yeah.
Okay.
All of those modalities are based on the same thing: surrender, relaxation, and then not overthinking.
Mm-hmm.
Like you just get into that state and accept it for what it is, and it's, I guess you could call it a neutral state, yeah. But all of those modalities are the same, so we start that with the same. And I use the silver method of relaxation, taking them down their body and resonating with their physical body too, and knowing they can influence their body.
Yeah.
And detect any abnormalities that might be happening in their energetic field, and seeing that and self-correcting. So then they're empowered with the knowledge that they don't need someone else. They're the ones that can fix this.
Yes.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I suppose each child that comes into your school, you're going to probably see each one have be more inclined to be good at one thing more than the other, and so forth. So each one might have a more easier to do the psych wheel, or one of them might be to do with a blindfold.
It can be. It's happen? More about, because it becomes so normal to them, they get bored. So it's up to me to keep that spark going, because they can be a little bit oh, I'm sick of this. What are we doing next? Some can open quicker than others. Some are more interested. Like if they're not engaged, if they're not driven to do it or explore it,
right.
It'll happen, but it'll be a diluted version of what's possible. So I try and ramp it up, and I'm constantly racking my brains as to what I'll do with them next, because they're coming so frequently.
I had a school, Cocreative School, and I was doing similar to what you were doing. It lasted this is quite a few years ago. And I found, each morning I would go into like my own channeling but I channel through the lessons first and get the energy. That's exactly what I do. Right. And then, I'd started coming up with these amazing ideas. We had 10 kids, like 5 sets of 2, And then we were in a circle. Maybe you can use this one.
Yeah.
They were in a circle back to back, and then
Yeah.
3 objects in front of them. And one would be a crystal or 3 different color crystals, but always the same object in front of both person, like could be a paper clip or something or a stone. And then one would pick up the one object, put it to their heart and feel it to their heart and feel what it feels like. And the other one had to pick up exactly the same thing. And
that's a good exercise.
yes,
Yeah.
And all of them, there was even parents there when that happened. All of them got it right. We were watching them, that they weren't cheating or anything. All of them got it right. And I'm like, oh, wow. All 5.
Don't you? Yeah, it blows you away. Yeah.
That when that happens, you can try to logify yourself out of it as much as you want. But when there's 5 sets of 2, all doing the same, getting it right, there's something there.
I love pulling resources from everywhere, everyone doing this sort of work, because my experience with the site work in particular was there was a certain amount of secrecy around that and ownership and patented mechanism. And I thought, well, and charge a lot of money, not all of them, but some of them charge a ridiculous amount of money. So crazy.
Yeah.
And I because I've manifest around that, I've had people come into my life like you're doing now to add to the content, and it's great. And a lot of people that I've had, like Rob Freeman in Canada and Wendy Glant, friends of mine, I introduced them to the site work, and they've been nonstop promoting it on the internet through their YouTube channels and displaying the exercises they're doing for themselves and putting the information out there, not charging anybody anything, saying this is possible, explore this. So that's sort of gone global. And Grant Cameron is embracing that now. And Caroline Corey's Superhuman Movie has created a lot of interest around it because she's put the science mix in with that documentary, The Invisible Made Visible.
Yeah,
so
wow.
That's an amazing. Have you seen that one?
No, I haven't. You have to throw that one.
You need to watch that one. That's really cool.
Yeah.
But just that's how it should be, though. Everyone should be contributing to the to the knowledge, so that we can all just put it out there and not sit back and just keep our cards close.
Like that's not where we're at now. No, it's not ownership. Sharing is caring, right?
Well, there's no ownership on consciousness, really.
No, so there's no ownership on anything, really.
No, there isn't. No, and so that's wonderful. I love that. That's a great idea. I'll be using that. Yeah.
There's quite a few. We did like a big, huge piece of paper where all of the kids would draw whatever they felt, and then we would put it up on the wall and go, now one of them's to go up and create a story of where the energies of everyone is going. It was really interesting, the stories that came out, just using their imagination again, because that was a big thing that we've been told not to use. But our imagination literally holds our soul's lineage. So that's why we've been told not to use it, because we can use bits of our information of our imagination, ground it here on this physical form and create a whole new reality. Self-preservation, getting the kids to know who they are. Once you know who you are, then you know when something not so good is trying to
exactly
who you are, who they are, what energy.
Question.
You don't accept it as part of them, like they try to do mind games. You don't accept it because you're like, I know who I am, so I'm not going to accept that. But otherwise you're at the vulnerability of being held hostage to other frequencies as well. So there was that as well that I was teaching the children to. I know that you probably don't need to go into that, but that's something that I was.
No, I know. No. Everything you're saying is resonating. It's what we get into, and I get into. I sort of get them to feel into the next day all the time. So everything's happening before it happens, because everything's happening at the same time. And I said, well, I say to them, well, let's feel into tomorrow. You know, how are you going to be feeling tomorrow? You know, you don't need to know the exact circumstances, but I want you to tap in how you're feeling tomorrow. And then they'll give me feedback around that, you know, when I see them next and things like just and people that come into your life. Is there anyone new? Can you feel new energy coming in? Is someone coming into your life that you haven't met before? Can you feel that energy? You know, getting them to recognize the subtle shifts.
Yeah.
And all that. Yeah.
And aligning is it's one of those chicken or the egg things, isn't it? Are you aligning yourself to the reality you're creating, or is it that the reality is coming towards you because of how you feel now, or you know what, you know?
Yeah, that's a great thing to say, because I remember when I was 15, nearly 16, I was working, and I can remember what I was doing at the time. I was working at the local corner store, and I remember where I was standing in the shop. You know how you have those light bulb moments, and it's a download. Yes. And something was happening. I can't remember the exact thing, but I was stood there and I thought, now, am I creating this, or am I seeing this coming in? And that question then led me on to explore why it was happening, and I realized that how you could create your own reality through different mechanisms and stuff. There wasn't a lot of information around then. No information around then.
Once we learn how to create our own reality, then we just say, no, that's not going to be part of my reality. It doesn't even matter how big that thing is. Like, you can shift anything in this world by just going, sorry, gonna give my attention to this over here, and it falls away. Like,
it does.
It will. Like, if you did have something coming at you that you didn't like, it didn't matter where it came from, how big the person was, or how grand or how in charge they were. As soon as you go, no, I know who I am, and I'm creating my own reality, then there will always be a way to go somewhere else through, you know, you'll always find a way. And it's kind of like one of the instances that happen. Actually, you could use this in your classes as well. I watched Peaceful Warriors, where Peaceful Warriors is where this master was teaching this other person to be in charge of his life, and it was a gymnast, I think, and he had these abilities to be able to do really incredible things. Like, this is a true story, actually, where all of a sudden he'd be on the roof of a house, and the guy's going, how did you get there? The gymnast is saying, how did you even get there that quickly? You're an old man, and that doesn't work, you know. The gymnast got angry and threw something at him, but because he had already in his reality had gone, I'm safe no matter what. I don't even have to think about protecting myself, because it's just, this is it. I am knowing who I am, and I'm present in this place, and I'm safe. So he'd just be working, tinkering on his car, and he'd just put up his hand and catch the spanner without even thinking. There's no logic in it. So I wanted to try that out, and we were throwing socks at each other. You know, they'd rolled up socks at each other. And I went for a walk downstairs around the garden, which was far, far away from this guy. And I knew he was going to throw the sock back out at me. And I just went, you know what, I'm going to try this out. I'm letting go. And I'm just saying to myself, I know I'm going to catch it. I just know I'm going to catch it. I'm not even going to think about it. So I was just focused in on how beautiful the garden was or something. And he did throw. I didn't look up or anything. And I just put my hand up like that, and it was in my hand. You know, it was just like, holy, okay, this is how it works, you know.
Well, have you seen the experiment with that? I can't remember who did it, but it was with the cactus. They spoke to the cactus with all the thorns. I can't remember the reference, but they were like the influencing water and you know, plants. You speak badly to one, you speak positively to the other, and one flourishes and one doesn't because of the frequency. They did the same thing with the cactus, and they reassured the cactus that it was safe. It was safe. It didn't need to have the thorns. The prickles, yeah. And it actually shed all of its prickles. Like it's on the internet somewhere, but it was an actual experiment, a scientific experiment, and it grew without thorns, without prickles. Yeah. So that was evidence again. Yeah.
Evidence. Yeah. They took me to a lady called Jill Bolt Taylor who had a brain hemorrhage on her, or brain stroke on her left hemisphere. So only her right hemisphere was up. And when she, being a neurologist, she's like, oh, cool, I can see what's going to happen from a stroke from the inside out. When only her right brain was activated and her left brain, which is this program, was gone, her hand was the wall. Her hand, she became expansive, she became everything. So we are that simultaneously, and we've forgotten that we are everything that's in our reality, as well as the program itself, working in separate entities to be able to use the adventure. But yeah, it's really incredible, because then you start to realize how this actual psychic stuff works. Because
well, there's science behind it. Yeah.
Because you are everything. And same with my daughter, when she said, I know where we go when we die. It's a place called Anion, but we live in our minds now, Mummy, but we live in Anion as well, which was a quantum physics particle that resided in light or material. So she was really saying in that moment that we are everything outside of us, as well as the separated adventure that we're going on. We are living in Anion as well, but we live in our minds too, Mummy. So our minds is that logical side that brings us into the separated reality. It's really cool, because I know it's humanity. Like, people might see this and schooling that you're doing and everything, they might see it as humanity, like humanity gaining something, but I see it as returning home. I see
it's always been there.
Like we learn all this in Atlantis and stuff, and then we just learned all about the logical side of ourselves. We're just bringing it both together. So we're literally returning home to realizing we can create whatever we want now. We don't have to have, somebody telling us what to do anymore. We've taken the reins individually.
Well, we come into the 3D to experience what we've chosen, but to be unaware of this extra tool set that we have to help with that process is not natural to me. And it's like, we've always had it, and it's just reminding, especially the children, that it's always been there, and you can use this as well, and it just makes life that's so much easier, and feeling like you have an element of control mainly. That's my biggest motivation with the kids. That
it's accepted in this reality, because if we don't accept it for them, then no one else out there is, then we're having the same loop of the same issues. And
most of the kids that come here too, their parents are very they're energy workers, and they're very enlightened on that level too, but they can have influence around them that is skeptical and negative. So you can have a child in the room doing a specific exercise, and mum might be there, which is fine, but say dad might step in who's very cynical, and they don't even know that they've come into the room, but they can go, oh, I can't see. So the influence of that energy will stop the process just because it's present.
Yes. Well, kids are closer to energy, because that's where they come from. They come from energy and born into the physical, right? I had the same thing happen when I went to a school in a classroom and brought my book up to the teacher to teach children how to use their imagination. And it's like, imagine if you could create a new universe. And when she said it, because she's coming from her own limits, they are all putting their hand up and saying what she's expecting them to say. So astronaut, star, planet, space, emptiness, dark. that sort of thing, then I get up in front of them with my expansive imagination, and then next minute we've got frozen stars, we've got, you know, ETs with, you know, fairies that are like able to cross friggin' planets, and you know, got portals everywhere, and you know, totally expanded the whole thing. And she was even making them draw this beautiful universe with just a grey pencil on a piece of paper. So there was that kind of, I need to control this feeling instead of allowing the children to explore.
Yeah, or correcting, oh, that's not the right shape. Yeah, I grew up with all that. But look, I have this extra element with most of the kids that I have too, is Mary has sent me a few of her kids, and they've had contact experiences on craft and communicated with beings. And I've got one little boy that comes, he's only 7, and he takes great delight in telling me what he's done astrally the night before, and the beings he's made contact with, and the lights that were in the room, and again, that's a safe environment for them to talk about that, and it's a normal thing, and it's accepted, and it's not exceptional. So it's wonderful. Yeah, it's wonderful, and they're so comfortable with it, and they're not, then there's no criticism. But usually they come from parents that feel the same way, and you know, they allow them to express that. And we have those conversations all the time, and it's amazing. But then I'll get some kids that don't know how to use their imagination at all. They don't have that happening at all. They don't understand what I mean by picture this, take yourself there, visualizing. Like I grew up thinking everyone thinks in pictures, because if you're an artist, you sort of think, oh yeah, and you know, if we're sitting at the dinner table and someone will say something gross about a rat or something, and everyone will put their knives and forks down because instantly they can see what they're telling it. It's like, oh, I can't eat now, you know. But it was a revelation to me when I was younger. I think I was in my 20s, when my brother commented to me. He said, you know, I was talking to somebody, and because we talk in pictures. And he said, I was talking to a friend, and he said he can't do that. I said, what? What? Yeah. Doesn't everybody
that exist?
Yeah, he said, no. He said he can't. And so I explored that, and I asked people after that. And some people literally don't see that. They don't see the imagery around there. That. And some children, I've had a couple of kids for me to take them out of body and tell them, this is what we're doing now, I want you to picture this. They can't do it. So that made it a little bit harder to get them activated, because they didn't understand what I was talking about. So that was interesting, a learning curve for me with kids. Some kids, Wow. But to let them just free range and let them do and say, and not control them on any level, because that's not what it's about. And let them teach you. And treat them as an equal, mutual respect.
So how do you feel you could do this? Teach me how.
Exactly.
Like that. Because they'll have a totally different way of getting around it. If they're real goal orientated and actually being able to do it, they'll find a way around it and be able to teach you without using their imagination. Wow.
Yeah. And then I've got one older boy who's I don't like saying these things, but I don't know how to explain it otherwise. Like mid-level autistic, and he was nonverbal until he was nearly 6, because he didn't need to talk, because obviously he was picking up information on another level.
Like I do.
But his hearing's off the charts. Like I'll put the frequency apps up, and I'll have experiment with tones with them. And he's just off the chart. His hearing is amazing. And once the children start practicing all these techniques, their hearing does improve. Their physical sight improves. So we'll have a sight chart, and we'll measure the level of their physical sight before we do anything. And once they've been using the sight work for a while, their vision improves. They can go way further back and see. But they can be, say how many meters, say they can be 5 meters away with the blindfold on, and they can read the tiny line of print at the bottom of the sight chart. It's just
wow,
amazing. They actually see better with the blindfold on.
I actually just came from the optometrist, and they're like, oh, your vision hasn't even changed in 2 years. And then 2 years ago, I was in a not so good relationship. So it's funny how my vision just degraded when I was in that. I didn't want to see what I. And then now it hasn't shifted since I left that. But also just coming back to that, I have channeled this information with stepping into these higher frequencies. And one of the things I know happens because they've taken me to the higher frequencies is that your sight, your sound, your taste, because you're not clouded anymore with your logical brain looping unwanted thoughts. You're so clear that everything becomes enhanced. And then you start to see beyond, even if you go out to nature, you'd start to see things that are glowing that you wouldn't see before. And all, the energy around people will start showing up. It's just purely because your mind isn't clouded anymore with that logical, mind loops.
Yeah.
Been doing to themselves, really.
A lot of people that have had near-death experiences will have that exact process happen when they've died and they've come back. And another thing I wanted to say too, with the physical sight, when I took my daughter, she was 5, took her to an optometrist when she was 5, and she's nearsighted, so she can only see close range. And the optometrist said to me, and which was really profound at the time again for me, it's like, well, he said, I find that with most children of this age because their worlds are so small. And I thought, okay,
because
that makes so right. Because their worlds are so small, because they're so little, and their worlds are so compact around their immediate family and their little existence. They can only see so far. He said, I find that a lot with younger children. They're nearsighted because their worlds are so small. And I thought, well, okay, that makes so much sense to me.
Yeah.
And my friend Wendy Gallant, that's in Canada, practiced the sight work with multiple people and practiced on a daily basis, basically for 3 years straight, 3 days a week, if not every day. She's 68, and her last prescription for her glasses, they had to downgrade it because her sight had improved immensely. So she had to get new glasses because of the improvement of her sight. And her optometrist was blown away. And she's really gifted with this because she's put so much effort into it. She can see, she has had amazing experiences around all this.
Yeah, we don't realize just how much we can heal ourselves by uncluttering our thought patterns of limitations.
And there's no age limit. I've got on my Sensing Sight page on Facebook too, my mother doing remote viewing. She's 83. And she's amazing at it. Yeah.
I think it just goes with like the level of clarity that we carry, like the feeling that we have about who we are. And the biggest message is my guidance is giving me at the moment is more, we've got to start supporting who we are fully, with everything the uniqueness and everything. Start supporting that. That's going to gift us this new reality opening up, because each little human or child has come in with a specific, unique, you could call it code or gift or personality, and with those gifts and personality, that is the essence of this world shifting, because there's so many new ones coming in. And then with what you've gone through, bringing the school about to be able to give them a safe haven to be able to explore that, it's just so beautiful, because that we are the ones that are shifting the whole of humanity into opening up some whole other game. And I mean, even with everything that's happened the last 2 years, it was all meant to happen so that we could go home and look at ourselves.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and I was the messages I was getting around all that too. And I think at the early stages, I was saying to Mary, I was saying it. They're telling me it's more about the isolation than anything. There's activations through the isolation.
That's exactly what I was getting as well.
Yeah.
It's like being pushed into a hermit stage of self-analyzation. And when you can't look outside, and reach for other people that would normally pick up all of your problems, you've only got you to try to work.
Yeah.
And people were put in positions like that all over. And now I feel we're coming out the other end. So there's going to be another big shift. But I think it's going to be a choice whether you still want to have others telling you what to do, or whether you have literally done the shadow work and gone inside and figured it out and moving into all this
taking away the white noise. The white noise, all the white noise that gets in the way.
I always say to myself, do I like that reality? Even when it comes to officials and so forth pulling up, this is how life's going to be from now on, the TV and the news and stuff. I just go, I don't even watch the news, by the way, but if I ever come across anything like that, I'll go, is this how I want my life to be? Nah. Okay. So I then trust that I'll be shown a different path. And I always am. I'm always.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I resonate with that exactly. Yeah, I don't take on board any of that. And if it does, it's meant to step in for clearly a reason. There's always something to everything. But yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah. Oh well, I suppose we should end here.
Yeah, that was cool. It was really nice to catch up. It's been 10 years. Is it 10 years?
Pardon?
Has it been 10 years?
Oh, yeah.